Let me introduce our great guest, Leka. Leka is from India originally, and she's an active investor and an author based in Seattle, Washington. And she moved to USA from India 13 years back. She obtained her broker's licenses in 2017 and became one of the top producing agents in her office. And she has now flipped over 40 homes in such a short period of time.
Welcome to the Investor Financing Podcast, where we interview real estate investors and lenders so you can learn all the secrets to getting your projects funded and scale your portfolio. And now, your host, Beau Eckstein.
How are you doing, Beau? How's the things?
I'm doing well. Just exciting. It's just the lending business is busy as usual, and we're doing a lot of development projects right now. A lot of finance for development stuff, and
Awesome.
multifamily, and a lot of different things. So it's keeping me very busy. And then I get a lot of calls. People call me. Actually, I get a lot of calls from this show because people watch and they have lending questions.
Hey, that's the main reason, man.
Yeah.
We want to give knowledge. We want to educate the masses. We want to educate the high net worth people. We want to educate investors. We can educate all kinds of, because our whole focus is very diverse, as you know, all the way from, small multifamily, all the way to big, large multifamily, assisted senior living, all the way hospitality, hotels, all that. Right, Beau? So no, good. Hey, good action is the best action, and let's crush it. We're going to be wrapping up year 2020 in a grand style, which is, it's great to really have that, because some people took off and they said, oh, it's COVID, I can't do anything. Let the COVID go away, then I'll come back into the market. But shakers and movers, they have crushed it this year. I know you have crushed it. We have crushed it with 6 syndications, 32.6 million raised, and maybe buying total, I don't know how much, 70, $80 million worth of, business, all that stuff. Anyway, but let me introduce our great guest, Leka. Hi, Leka, welcome.
Thank you for having me on your show, Vinny and Beau.
No, it's so great. Let me formally introduce you, Leka. Leka is from India originally, and she's an active investor and an author based in Seattle, Washington. And she moved to USA from India 13 years back. She quit her corporate job at Nordstrom, which is very popular over there in the Seattle area, in 2014, and started rehabbing Rehabit Homes Incorporated, a company focused on residential redevelopment. After a string of successful flips, she obtained her broker's license, which is great. I'm a broker in California. Beau is a broker right there. Also 3 brokers there. Wow. Licenses in 2017 and became one of the top producing agents in her office. And she has now flipped over 40 homes in such a short period of time. That's incredible. That's great. And has expanded her focus to include land development, additions, acquiring long-term rentals, both in state and out of state. She also serves as an advisor on the board of Certain Lending. It's a fintech company right here from San Francisco, where I'm from, Bay Area, Danville, California, right here, close by. And entrepreneurs right there, based in San Francisco. She enjoys inspiring and motivating other entrepreneurs to build successful businesses. And for this reason, she hosts also a monthly meetup over there in Seattle, Real Estate at Work. Oh, I love it. To bring new and seasoned investors together. Welcome, Leka. Please tell us about you, and how did you come here, and what a great success you have had. We are very fortunate to have you on the show. Yeah.
Thank you, Vinny. Yes, that was the best anyone has read my bio. So thank you for that. You did such a great job. But yeah, I was in corporate America for a good 7-8 years before I decided to switch and start something entrepreneurial. Back in India, I did a lot of, I had my first business when I was 18. And so
Oh,
when I moved here, I was like, oh man, like I don't know anybody, I don't know the culture. It was just all brand new.
yeah,
So I think it was a good experience for me to have been in that, mainstream company, mainstream work for a long time before I switched. So yeah, I started, real estate investing in 2014, and along the way, I have discovered so many cool exit strategies, so many different ideas.
yeah.
It's been pretty amazing.
Oh,
Um, just, the journey has been awesome so far.
awesome, awesome. I know a lot of viewers, who watch us. I think a lot of them are W-2, workers. And I know, how was it that, did you have the cash flow kind of coming to equate your expenses and all that?
Yeah.
Was it fearful to really, let that corporate job go? I mean, tell us a
Yeah.
little bit, how did that, go through your
Yeah.
mind? And how did you make that step?
To make that step, to make that switch from going from a steady paycheck to something brand new that you have no idea, like I didn't even know if I was going to make it for a week, right? um,
Mhm.
you really have to be like, there needs to neurologically be something missing in your brain to be able to actually take that step. And that's why most people are just super, comfortable where they are and never venture into doing something like that, because it's risky, it's scary, there's no playbook to follow. And so I just think, you have to have some kind of a personality disorder to do that, to take that step. So that's, in terms of cash flow, my husband does have a killer W-2, which kind of
Yeah.
helps
Yeah.
with taking that risk. So yes, I don't advise everybody to just, like, I literally one day decided that if I don't do this full time, then I'm never going to be able to be successful. And
Mhm.
so I decided, okay, this is my last month in corporate America. And I was fortunate enough to have that option to do so. And so that's really what, ended up happening. Took a HELOC on our personal residence and started my company.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, Seattle is expensive.
Oh,
So these, these flips, you have done like over 40 flips. Kind
yeah.
of take us through, if somebody wants to get into that business of flipping, how did you get started?
Yeah, it is very risky, but it's also high reward. Most of my flips are an average price point of $1 million.
I see.
When you take acquisition, rehab, holding costs, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to do 7, 8 deals
Yeah.
and things don't go well, it's super challenging. It's a struggle,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
think the most important thing that you want to do is, before you start to scale, I would do 1 or 2 projects from start to finish.
Mhm.
Doing a flip, like I was talking to another investor friend of mine that flips in Kansas City, and he has done 250 flips
Wow.
in the same time as me. And so we were going through, some of his numbers, some of his scope of work. And then I realized that, my 40 or 50 flips that I've done is more than his 250 flips, because
Yes. Yes.
when I'm saying I flip a house, I'm not doing paint, carpet, back on the market. I am taking the house down to the studs. I am
Oh,
doing, like, it's engineering, architecture, like we're doing like siding, roof trusses, potentially additions, adding square footage. So they're not just flip in the true sense, like get into it, flip it really quick and get out of it.
yeah.
This is more like building, like reconstruction. And oftentimes I find that just new builds or new construction is so much easier than like working within a footprint.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different market here.
Awesome, awesome. So let me, I'm sure, Bo, please, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to clobber all the
Oh,
questions.
okay. So you got started and you're in it's kind of like the upper medium price point in Seattle, essentially, because the average price, medium house price in Seattle is probably what, 800,000 or 900,000 right now. I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
it's around 800K.
yeah. So you're doing like upper middle class type of nice higher end flips. You're not doing entry level homes in the surrounding parts of Seattle. So yeah, I mean it's a little bit scarier, I think. when you first start and you're doing $1 million flips versus a lot of people when you're talking about Kansas City, you're able to buy properties for $20,000 and $30,000. But at the end of the day, I always say this too now, is like, it's really not about how many doors you own or how many flips you've done. It's really about the net profit, right? Like if you're spinning your wheels and making $10,000 doing $10,000 flips, that might not be the best business model going forward, or just doing maybe 10 big flips a year and making, 7 figures from doing that. So I always kind of look at it in that sense. But so you started flipping. Your first flip was in 2015,
14.
2014. So over the last 6 years, you've done 40 flips, which is pretty impressive. And then over the last year or two, you've now gotten into land development. Are you doing like infill projects? Can you kind of talk about what kind of land development projects you're doing?
So first I want to address the fact that you said net profit is king, because a lot of people ask me, how many doors do you own?
Yeah.
How many flips do you do, right? Obviously, it doesn't equate to anything, because I just bought a triplex in my market for 1.2 million. 1.2 million in the Midwest, down south, can get you 50, 100 units.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, but how much of that do you own, right? That's the other key. So yes, there's a huge difference in just, when people say how many doors or make it generic that way, it doesn't equate to anything.
Sure.
In terms of subdivisions, I honestly didn't go into this thinking I'm going to subdivide land. What happened was I bought a house to flip, and I just happened to find that the land that the house was on was subdividable. And so I started this subdivision about 4 years ago. Like it literally took me that long and it was heavily wooded. So it took me that long to basically subdivide, get my final short plat, do all my horizontal construction, to the point where now I have 2 empty lots that are completely buildable and 1 house on the 3rd lot that I rehabbed. And one of the lots and the house are actually selling next week. And so I'm going to be left with 1 more lot.
I see. Wow.
I'm not building new. I am subdividing to just sell.
Now, hold on. I want to ask you, what's your background? It looks like you have you learned all this development and construction? Did you have any background about it before?
I wish I could say I was a family of investors or real estate moguls, but no, I have no background. I came from fashion, merchandising. And so really the only experience I had was financial forecasting. But no, I did not know anything about construction. So if you're watching and you're not in construction or real estate, it is possible, as long as you're willing to put in the work to learn, I think it's absolutely, look at me.
Oh, that's so great. What you're saying, I hope everybody watching us, and hundreds of people will be watching even afterwards. I know we only see very few people looking at us, but we are into different channels in LinkedIn and YouTube, in Facebook pages all over. Please, everybody who is watching us, please let us know where you're from. I wanted to recognize some people also. Webster, hi. Thank you for joining. And we had, let's see, Opeli, I think, I hope, Sundaramji, nice to have you. Yeah, and then also we had other guests who joined us. So please do, let us know what kind of questions you might be thinking as you are listening to the broadcast. We can answer those questions right away. I know some people are reaching out to us if they would like to learn, and I think John is looking in the backside. We do it every Friday. Everybody, please put the notifications on 9:30 a.m. Pacific or 12:30 p.m. Eastern. So it's a Vinny and Beau show. Thank you for joining. I know we're trying to bring some music, some little more pizzazz into the whole thing. So 2021 is going to be spectacular year, and we're going to bring more color into our whole broadcast with some case studies, with some PowerPoints, with some movies, and great guests like Leka. Thank you, Leka.
Thank you.
So how did you learn? I mean, I'm very impressed. I mean, you just kind of took the bull by the horn and you just said, I can do it.
Yeah, no, I didn't say I can do it. I did it. I was like, how do I do it? So when I started, I just wanted to learn about construction because that was my one like weakness. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that insulation came after electrical and plumbing. I didn't know, doors and trim came after drywall. Like I didn't know these things, and I just went to my job site every single day, and through my projects, I made my contractors teach me. And that's really how, and I always believe like you take one thing and you get really good at it,
Yeah.
and that'll help you, scale and also lay a good foundation for whatever else is about to come your way. So I think just having that focus to do that was helpful.
Awesome. Beau? Yeah,
Oh,
buddy.
yeah. So on these flips, what are you kind of looking for? I mean, because you're doing heavy rehabs, or usually it sounds like you're on the board of a lending company, so you're familiar with hard money. So you're doing like an 85 or 90% of purchase and 100% of rehab type fix and flip loan. Is that
Yeah.
how you're funding these, and then you're
Yeah.
just leveraging?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then at the end of the day, like so these flips, are you what's kind of what are your average range of purchase price and rehab budgets for these type of projects, and then like
Yeah.
the exit value, purchase price, ARV, rehab budget, and ARV.
So the average purchase is 5 to 600K.
Okay,
The average rehab, I go into it thinking it's 150 to 175,
and it's
sometimes
250.
250, like 200, 250. And then the exit is, a million to million three, depending on what the market is doing at the time. But before, I would only buy like smaller margin flips, right? Because nobody knew me. I didn't get the good deals.
Yeah.
They went to my neighbor. They went to a guy, right? But I think just having a solid, proven track record that I will buy, I will close, and I will get the project done, no matter the scope.
Yes.
That kind of makes me more marketable to wholesalers, and so I just get better deals now.
So what give me an example of a flip that you did that didn't work out well, and what you learned from it. Because I think people always talk about the wins, they never talk about
The failure.
there are some in there, because I flipped a lot of houses.
What's under the iceberg, we call it, right? The tip of the iceberg, but what's behind, underneath the water?
Yeah, if you ever meet a flipper that said that he or she didn't lose any money, then
they're lying.
Exit stage right. No, but so you think being a flipper for so long, and knowing the market, knowing your projects, you know what not to buy. So flip number 37 or 42, I don't know. I bought a house in a super hot market of Seattle called Kirkland. And what happened was I bought this house super easy. Actually, this was supposed to be an easy flip, like 65 to 75K rehab.
Yeah.
So I buy it, and then it ended up being that the city was so hard on this project that we went through about 15 inspections on a 1,100 square foot home. Like it was horrible. We had to keep revising our floor plan just to get our permits passed. But then what I ended up with was a house with a very unlivable floor plan, where we had one bedroom on the main floor with two small bedrooms on the top floor. So, and this was a very family neighborhood. So people with young kids were not able to live in this house. And so people just kept passing on it. And so we were listed in a very hot market, and the property sat on the market for, I want to say, 3 to 4 months. And I've never had a project sit on the market for 3 to 4 months. And not just that, it was like this weird time in 2018 where our market in Seattle just softened for some reason. Interest rates started to go higher, and there was like a lot of uncertainty with the Amazon headwinds. And so people just stopped buying. Plus Amazon was in the process of, figuring out where their next HQ was going to be. And so people thought, okay, if it's in a city like Austin or like, or
Atlanta
or
or Virginia, right? Yeah.
right. So then our cost of living would drastically reduce. And
Yeah.
so why buy in Seattle? So it was just that weird timing. And I ended up making a 65K loss on this beautiful house that I, built. So yeah, does it happen to the best of us? 100%.
Surely
Yeah,
does.
it's happened to me a couple times. So yeah, there's no way you're going to always bet 100. You're not always going to go to the home plate and get a base hit and
Right.
But the beauty of fix and flips too, though, sometimes what we've noticed that there's these lulls like what you're talking about. These lulls where like for whatever reason, like a week ago there was 1 million people through an open house, and now all of a sudden it like slows down for 3 weeks or 4 weeks. All that kind of plays into like if you're not getting that. Like our market's been so good for so many years too. That's the other thing, right? Like if you started investing in 2014, all you've seen is this in residential sales, right? Like and like if you were started flipping in say 2006, 7, and 8, you would have seen something completely different, right? So I think
Right.
as flippers, we have to identify that at some point there's going to be changes in our market. So when we're figuring out what our ARV is, our after renovated value, sometimes it's not always going to it's been nice. And I want to hear a story about like where you were anticipating a 1.1 sale and it sold for 1.4 million. Can you give us a
Oh,
really good home run story now?
that surprised you.
Yeah.
I
So
want
this
to
actually,
acknowledge few people joining us. Please let us know where you're from. Hello, Nishi Jaiswal, welcome. Derek Clifford, welcome. Brian Martinez, welcome. Kishore Rauji, welcome. Arma, uh, welcome right there again. And thank you so much for joining, everybody. Remember, this is the show on Friday, 9:30 Pacific. We come. Thank you. Please go ahead, Leka. Yeah.
yeah. So I love home runs, as does everybody else. So my home run, I talk about one that happened this year amidst COVID.
Hmm.
So I bought a project last November, but I was just really like I had a lot of rental projects that I was working on. So I said, I'm not going to flip a house. But of course, this amazing deal comes on, and my broker was like, "Hey, you need to come see this house." Walked it. I loved it. I love the neighborhood. It was mid-century modern, and it was mid-century modern is so popular in my market. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And then I also like my contractor wanted to partner on a deal with me, and he's been wanting to flip a house for a long time. And so I was like, okay, let me bring him on board. So he did all the gap financing. I got a hard money loan. He did the gap financing, and I offered him a really killer return, like I don't know, 30% return on profit, because I just wanted him to, feel like he was really part of the deal, and boy did he deliver. So basically it was just again a full gut remodel, beautiful house. Location wise, it was surrounded by greenery, like we just killed it on the landscaping. And then I did something like I don't like going into every flip putting in the same tile, the same finishes. So every one of my homes are different.
I
um,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I just went to town on the light fixtures and just the finishing for this property. We built out a massive deck in the backyard. Nice black metal railings. Like this was a beautiful house. So then we listed, I want to say March 1st, and the whole like country shut down March 10th.
Sure.
So it was the timing was perfect because we were allowed to have open houses. People didn't know yet that we were going to go into this. So we had 75 groups in each of the open houses we did. We did 2 open houses.
Wow.
We had 75 showings in 3 days. And then ultimately ended up with 11 offers, and we were listed for 875, and we got a 1,050,000.
Oh my
amazing.
gosh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Home run.
You know what? Whenever I've done a flip, and I'm also a broker too, so I'd sell my own flips to save the money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, nobody. If you can save it, if you can sell it yourself and save the 2.5%, but there's nothing like the feeling of that first open house when you have tons of people through, because that's like exactly when that first open house. you just know how that sale is going to go, and if you have good traffic that first house, it's just like it's a relief, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like I know from the first like hour of an open house from you when you first list the property, if it's how it's going to look, if it's going to go over, what's it going to really look like, and that's where which is great. Once and I think the thing too when you're selling these properties is like position. You got to be strategic with your open houses. You got to. I don't like to do large, long windows of open houses. I want everybody to come at once. Maybe not with COVID right now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
point is because
100%.
Mentally, and
in
people
their mind,
after it, they say, "Oh my gosh, I want it! I want it!"
yes, because when people buy their primary residence, it's an emotional buy versus like when Vinny goes and buys a multifamily, it's just numbers based.
Yeah.
And so when people are dealing with that, that's why people are over, they'll pay $200,000, $300,000. It was funny. I was just looking at my friend she invests with another flipper in the Bay Area, and she showed me the pro forma, and the guy bought the property, and he bought it from another flipper who was failing and ran out of money, which is common. You see that a lot with people that don't have the liquidity and the experience. He like bought it from this group. He left them in the deal to help them try to get some of their money back, but he was projecting that he was going to sell it at $1.4 million, and it's basically closing at $1.9 million. I mean, he's being really conservative with it. It's in like because all the San Francisco people are moving to the Tiburons and things, right? And so people are like crazy. So at the end of the day, when everything's said and done, he's going to make $400,000 or $500,000 more. I mean, it's going to get cut up with his partners, but that's just unreal. That's what I call a grand slam. Like you don't hit those all the time.
Yeah.
But it's amazing to like see those opportunities.
You know what's funny is that this property came with a list back, which means I needed to list back with a wholesaler. And I'm fine with that because I worked with them, for 6 years now, and I just absolutely love their listing team. But because I'm also a listing broker, I can stand in these open houses, and when I do a project that I stand behind, I'm happy to be there to answer questions, whatever. And since these open houses were super packed, I actually went to both of them, and my listing broker was, of course, the one that was talking, but I was in the periphery, like answering any questions. People didn't know that I was the rehabber. So then I went to the basement, and this couple that had already made an offer walked over to me and said, "Hey, girl, can you tell your listing broker that we really like the house and somehow sell it to her? And tell your seller that we absolutely love his work." And I'm thinking
/ her.
I'm like, I'll tell him. But I'm the decision maker, and I don't think you're getting my house. But no, I'm just kidding. But it was funny. It's a funny story.
Oh, let me take you back, Leka. Give us your, how did you grow up in India? We want to get in your head. I know you don't really get successful by not building some great systems and having some great habits and routines and some principles and foundations. So take us through there. All right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty fortunate to have lived a really, a good life in India. And my parents were like upper whatever middle class families. So, we lived in nice houses, grew up, with nice cars. But I think what happened was my parents.
What state, what city and all?
I was in Bangalore.
Bangalore. Okay, good.
Yeah.
IT, a lot of IT there, right? Yeah.
Lots of IT, went to really good schools and colleges.
Excellent.
Yeah, but my parents always instilled a work ethic in us, that was undeniable.
Yeah.
They said it doesn't matter, where you come from, where you're going to go. You just have to be able to hustle and grind and make it happen for yourself. And then my dad always said, look, if you have any money, if you have 2 cents, go invest it in land. And so I never registered, or I never connected the dots. But I moved here, and I started a job at fashion, because I was in India. I was in merchandising and buying. So I was like, okay, that's a really good transition for when I move here. But then when in 2014, I was trying to make the switch to do something on my own, I was like, what is it that really interests me? And that's kind of when I went back to, I was talking to my mom and dad one day, and my dad's like, go buy some real estate. And so I was like, that's easy for you to say. But that's really how, I think if I had to connect the dots, that's kind of how it happened.
Wow. Tell us more then. How does your day start? Are you a good goal setter on the paper? And how did you build the team? And you have your own GCs, general contractor, or kind of take us behind the scene, if you would.
Yeah. I've been fortunate enough to have done this. Here's the thing. And don't get me wrong, you need a team. Yeah. But on the other hand, you can still, this is the one area of, I don't know, maybe job, career, whatever it is, that you can actually do so without actually hiring your team into your company. Mm-hmm. They don't need to be your W-2 employees. They can be their own W-2 employees, but you can hire them as your contractors, right? So whether it's a stager or a broker or a wholesaler or another investor or a partner or a general contractor, these are, these roles, they don't have to be hired by you in your company. Sure. Even acquisitions, right? Like you can go and become friends with a really good acquisitions broker for a large real estate firm that brings you the deals. Mm-hmm. And suddenly he's your acquisition broker, but he's employed by someone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yep. So that's kind of how I ran my business. And I felt like, especially amidst COVID, it was such a brilliant strategy because I was so flexible. Mm-hmm. In April, when I saw that switch, I stopped buying flips and I started buying rentals and I started, building a rental portfolio. Uh-huh. And then in October, November, I'm looking at the inventory we have and I'm like, man, we don't have anything going into spring. So I started buying flips again. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I had a team and I had an operations manager, a project manager, and I'm paying all of them. Like I wouldn't be able to do that. The other thing is my general contracting team, I've been fortunate enough to have worked with for the last 3 years. We've done over 20, 30 projects together. And as a listing broker, sometimes I also offer like construction services to my clients. Mm-hmm. And so it's my team that goes out and bangs those out. And so I've been able to be really busy, like keep them busy and, like independent so that they don't have to go out and find other jobs and, whatnot. So I think as long as, and like I said, I gave my contractor a killer profit on that deal. And it's like when you can take care of your people, I think they'll take care of you.
So true. So very true. So very true. Because then, they will go extra mile. And they, because a lot of time you're so right. People, we like to negotiate. Everybody wants to negotiate, but there is a win-win-win-win situation, right?
Right.
And if we can have that and the other people feel respected and they feel they are heard and that they are well taken care of, they will move mountains for you. They really will, so that's thank you. Yeah. What kind of apps do we, oh no, go ahead, John. Yeah.
So you're also a top producing agent with Keller Williams. So you're selling retail for retail clients too, because now you're just out and about and people want to work with you because you know how to take like a dated house and do a couple cosmetic things to it. So you're getting a lot of business that way too. So is it just you on your real estate team? How does that look too?
Yeah. So that's funny because I never marketed myself as a real estate broker and I still don't. I just do it because I like negotiating and I'm good at it. Yeah. And I think, the best real estate broker would be a broker that has sold their own properties, right? And I have sold how many of my properties and I know what it feels like to be a seller. Yeah. I know what it feels like to be a buyer. Like most brokers, like I sell a lot of my homes with listbacks. So I work with many different kinds of brokers. And I can tell when a broker is slacking rather than when a broker is really going and working hard for you and for their commission. So like a broker will call me and say, hey, I know that the house is listed at 575. We've been on the market for a couple of weeks. We have an offer for 545. I think you should take it. Mm-hmm. And, that's a slacker right there. But I'm able to go out and really fight for my clients and get them hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking. Also, I know what it takes to sell a house, right? Like it has to be staged, it has to be perfect,
Yeah.
because it is an emotional buy for someone and they want to see the best product that they can find. So I think having all those pieces together is what makes me a good broker. And again, I haven't needed to have a solid team for this, because um, I have a showing assistant who,
Yeah.
does it on an hourly basis.
Mhm.
I have a transaction coordination team and they handle all my paperwork, because
Mhm.
I don't even know what a 35R is, but
I love it. I love it.
they handle all my paperwork.
Yeah.
And so I have that. I have my same escrow team that I work with for the last 6 years that handles all my escrow title closings, and they know me and they can go bat for me. And if there's a tough buyer or seller on the other end, like they'll speak highly of me because they worked with me in the past. So I just think, I have all these other pieces to get. I have the same stager I've used for 6 years. I have the same photographers. So I have a team, but
I
they're
love
not employed by me.
that.
That's a beautiful thing to have.
Surely.
Everybody's like a team member, but they're all independent contractors, and
Right.
you don't have any additional stress or headaches or anything, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm not worried about, oh, I don't have a project for them this month.
Yeah. So true. So true. I would like to take a second and say that Vinny and Beau show is sponsored by us, Vinny and Beau. I'm Vinny Chopra, right here from San Francisco. I know a lot of you might be saying, who are these two guys who are interviewing? Some of you are brand new people following us. We've started this show about a year and a half back, and we are very fortunate to have you. I am a syndicator. I'm a broker, California broker. 2005, I became broker. Never sold a single thing in my life, just like Leka, what you're saying. And I keep my license active, but I'm an investor and a syndicator. I bought over 4,500 units so far, to let the audience know who is watching us, and about 441 million. And then we are also now into assisted senior living ground ups. We are building 5 projects right now, which is like about 22 million or so, times 5. And plus, we are also into hospitality. If any of the watchers are looking at us, so hospitality, we bought Hilton Garden Inn. We are looking at buying Marriott Courtyard, Comfort Inns. So that's the business we are in. And, if anybody would like to invest with us, we are not selling any securities. I teach also. I have written a book, actually, Positivity Brings Profitability, on Amazon, and also Syndication Made Easy. If anybody's really looking into, learning how to invest in real estate commercial, right there. Go ahead, buddy. What do you do?
I don't know if I could top that, but let me, I've been just turned 43 10 days ago. 43 years old. I know it's hard to believe. Just got married for the first time a year ago. Actually, in 3 days is my 1 year anniversary.
Yes.
And I started as a residential mortgage broker when I was 20 years old. Became a California real estate broker. Got into hard money lending. Worked for a fund in San Francisco Bay Area, and did a lot of construction and renovation loans. And then sold a lot of houses, flipped a lot of houses.
Hold on. Let me interrupt you right there. You're
Yeah.
a TV star too.
I didn't get to that yet.
Actually, for 2 years, he did HGTV show.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, tell us about that, Mr.
Amazing.
Flipper. Yeah.
So there was a production company, and they were casting, I guess, for this show, and all this was in the Silicon Valley, and all these other teams casted for the show, but they were missing like one team. So they ended up finding me online, and I went and I auditioned for the show, because who wouldn't want to be on TV? And then we did a show called Flip It to Win It. We did 12 episodes.
Yeah.
And I ended up becoming the star of the show, I thought, at least. And
I love it. I love it.
and then a year ago I moved to Nevada, and recently now I am a managing director of a company called Pace Equity, and we do construction financing and adaptive reuse financing, where we come in the capital stack, essentially give you higher leverage for the green eligible items in construction. So we work on lots of projects, like they're usually bigger projects, anywhere from $5 to $100 million projects, and we finance a little piece of that. And then I also place debt. I'm a debt broker, so when people are building properties, or but I cut my teeth for the last 13 years in fix and flip lending, so I know that business. Like, looks like you're on the board of Certain Lending, and that's that just looks like that's their somewhat of their model with some fintech. So we can dive into that. But yeah, so just been around real estate, own a small portfolio in the Midwest. I prefer to buy cheap houses, and last year I bought a house. Yeah. Last year I bought a house for $9,600, and I put it on a credit card. But last year I think I flipped 5 or 6 houses in the Bay Area, and actually Vinny was a partner on one of them.
Yeah,
and
I'm ready for 2 more. Oh, let's do it, bud.
Yeah. So that's my story. You can find out more.
Leka get some flipping gear going in the Bay Area. Leka,
I'm down.
Yeah, let's do it.
A challenge.
So awesome. Again, I'm listening to a lot of other shows, and a lot of people say, Vinny, what do you do? I mean, you do great broadcasts, but people don't know what you do. So I think we need to I thought we'll try to put some fun into it and let people know who we are and kind of things like that. But Leka, tell us, do you use electronically, like a lot of apps, or any books you're reading right now, or what motivates you?
Okay, in terms of apps, yes. My go-to for all expense spreadsheets is old school. It's Excel.
I love Excel.
I mean, it works, so why break it? But Dropbox has been huge, and really basic.
Airtable. Have you looked into Airtable, which is Excel, but it's got a lot of different things you could do, data searches and formulas, and lots of. I've not used it, but I've heard Airtable is another.
Yeah, I'll check it out. And then the whole Google Suite is.
Oh yeah, I love that. Totally. Yeah. How about Sign Easy? I mean, I'd like to not print any documents at all. My attorney says just sign, and I sign on the PDF.
I know. I could not even imagine without, digital signing. Life would be difficult. Yeah. So we use DocHub, Transaction Desk, all those for sign. Sure. DocuSign. And then, Canva for cool digital, flyers and stuff. Zoom, it has been any kind of telecommunication has been amazing this year, especially. So yeah.
How about book? Any books you're reading or listening to some good podcasts, and what gets you going every morning?
So I listen to a lot of the Bigger Pockets podcasts. I listen to a lot of people on LinkedIn. Like I listen to the Whitney Sewell podcast, the John Fortes podcast, and the Brian Briscoe. Like it just depends on the subject and like what I'm interested in doing that day. But
I didn't hear mine.
Really, I got to get on that bandwagon.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've got this one. And then, of course, this one. And then one more with Beau and me. So
I'm down for that.
This whole show, which we do live, we also put it in podcast in Beau's YouTube channel and my YouTube channel also. So everybody could, watch our previous episodes, guest speakers, and everything like that.
Yeah, and I watch you, Vinny, on a lot of different shows. Like, I watched you on Raj's virtual webinar, like all the webinars, because I love assisted living. And I'm just about to start researching it. I have been researching it for a year and a half, but I've just started to like really go out there and start looking for deals and properties. So I've been kind of following you and what you do, and it's really fascinating.
Thank you. We just had a meeting today. Somebody just heard me yesterday from the Senior Living Show. We do a Senior Living Show on Thursdays. Every other week we do it at this time. And one of the big developer reached out last night, and I did my elliptical this morning, and I had a 1-hour meeting with him. It was a lot of fun.
That's
You
awesome.
know, yeah. So,
That's awesome.
yeah. No, that's great. So good to have you on the show. How can people reach you, over there? And do
Yeah.
you need investors in your business, or you're pretty stacked up with the cash? You don't need anybody?
No, I'm actually starting a fund
Oh, you are?
to
Okay.
invest with operators that have been doing this a long time.
Yes.
So like if you have another deal coming, like I want my fund to take that top position in your deal,
Oh,
right?
good.
So I'm starting a fund because people ask me all the time if I have, if they can invest in my fund, and I'm like, what fund? I don't have a fund, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's finally time to take that step. I do want to start investing in commercial real estate, and that's the only way to do that is through syndication. So
Love it, love it. Please do
yeah,
reach out to me. We can bring you into our network, and
yeah,
we have excellent SEC attorneys. Excellent.
awesome.
Oh yeah, I have interviewed all 9 of them, 7 to 8, 9 in the whole USA. So we have some in California on the
Yeah.
West Coast. We have been working with. Sure, love to. You
Yeah,
bet.
I love that. And yeah, people can find me on LinkedIn through my first last name, Leka Devta, or I'm on Instagram, same first last name. Um, Happy to help.
Anybody? Yeah, yeah. And tell us about the fintech firm in the last few minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a few years ago when I was just really sick of using the hard money lenders in my local market because they are amazing. Don't get me wrong, amazing to work with, but everybody offers a 12%, 2 points, 5 month loan term.
I know it's crazy. Washington is like notorious. Their rates are like the worst, and
The
it's like,
worst, yeah,
and like you come to California, you get like 7.5 and 1 point. It's just
right.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so imagine doing a 250K rehab within 3 months of construction, 1 month to market, 1 month to sell. It's impossible. And so at that point, I was just
Sure.
trying to find my own, trying to see how I can, find a lender that understands my model and that
Okay, buddy.
would be
Thank you.
flexible for me to work with. And that's when the founders of Certain Lending, Charles McKinney and Shreyas Vijay Kumar, reached out to me. And they were both just, I think what attracted me to them is that they were both just really incredibly intelligent. One is a Stanford grad and the other came from Freddie Mac. And they wanted to put together this lending company that was solely tech focused, and made it easy for investors to invest and just not worry about the hard money lending piece. And that was just a total breakthrough for me. And so I became their first investor and then slowly became their advisor on the board. And now what we do is I tell them how my needs are changing, and then we kind of change the company tech or processes to kind of mirror that. So it's been really great. We went from it being just the two founders and me as the user to now a massive company doing millions of dollars of loans, and they have a fully functional operational unit in Seattle.
Oh,
And
wow.
they have a San Francisco office, and they're going, East Coast to the South. So they're lending everywhere.
Excellent. Oh my gosh. It all happened in how many years, would you say?
3.
Wow, that's amazing. Amazing. Do they have any more? Have they gone to Series A or anything
They're,
yet? Or-
they're just getting ready for Series B.
hold on, B.
Yeah.
Wow, we should talk because
Yeah.
I just got in the seed round with another company. Maybe you want to join me too. It's Cloud Defense Company, and
Oh,
we are
nice.
getting millions of orders right
Yeah.
now. It's an enterprise business. I'm just sharing it with everybody on the
Yeah.
show. And actually, we are so excited. We have 3 billionaires on our board, 3 billionaires of the Bay Area.
Cool.
And then actually one of our billionaire, she's taking one of the lending companies to IPO.
Nice.
So yeah, so I know all that, people
Yeah.
also in my circle. And one of my friend, very good friend, Anshu,
Yeah.
has taken his company to NASDAQ and sold it for 100 million.
Oh my God.
I know. And
Crazy.
we're ready to go Series A in this cloud defense company.
Awesome. I should make an introduction.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think it'll be wonderful. I really believe in energy. I believe that all of us, get together.
Yes.
However, I didn't know you much, right? But now
Right.
it looks like we know each other. And that's how the networks are formed. That's how you're able to excel, in everybody's business. It's a win, 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 win for everybody. So,
Right.
no, thank you. God bless you. Thanks for sharing all those great nuggets today. And by the way, everybody watching us, please do look at it. This is Vinny and Beau show, Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 Eastern, of course, 11:30 Central and so forth. Please join us and put the notifications on so that you can just see it right away as we come on, and be ready with some, great questions for the guests and also for us so that we can answer. Beau, would you like to put anything, buddy? Leka, great energy. Leka, you got so many great comments. There are just so great people. Brian, thank you. Unstoppable. Brian is also saying Leka has a great energy. Yep. Then Truth, Morris, thank you so much. Facebook user says congrats. Happy birthday right there, Beau, to you, buddy. Yay. And then Jasmine said, love it. Just totally love it. Maurice said, thank you, Vinny Chopra. Thank you. And then Facebooker said, hi, Vinny. Then Brian Martinez, welcome. And then right there from Orlando. So we are all over. I know yesterday or day before, we just got a call from Finland. And, some people are watching us all around the world with this, our broadcast. So, no, thank you, Derek. Thank you, everybody. Nishi, everybody. We are coming to Dallas. Nishi, next year, we're going to be building in Texas. We are looking at 3 locations more in Florida for assisted living. We are thinking to come to Portland and Arizona also, by the way, just to say. Beau,
Las Vegas, let's go.
hey, Las Vegas, we are coming. We are coming. We
Yeah.
are so excited because COVID is getting, taken care of with the vaccine and everything. And now is the time. I'm not suggesting buy the airline stocks, buy some other stocks, because they're going to go through the roof, actually, and it's going to be, and Moderna, I bought Moderna, 51% up. Oh my gosh. So, it's good. I'm not giving any advice, but look into some good things there. Thank you, Leka. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's
It's
a
so
pleasure.
fun.
You added so much today to
Oh,
the
thank
show. God bless you. And then we can go out. Is that okay, Beau, buddy?
Yeah, that's good. Now I was just reading Brian Martinez wants to meet you if you're in Florida.
Oh, okay. I would love to. I should be coming there, Brian. And I know a lot of people are. Thank you, Kishore. Thank you, G. Thank you for so much. Yeah, I should be coming there in Cape Coral. We already built our assisted living, luxury assisted living. We broke ground in the Punta Gorda. We are already breaking ground, I think, in few days in Williamsburg, Virginia. And then in January, we are breaking ground in Palms Bay, Florida, and then Sebastian, Florida, coming right after it. And then we just did the meeting this morning about the Pacific Coast. So we are going with a vengeance, starting so many of these assisted senior livings, multifamily, because we built about 77,000 to 99,000 square feet.
Wow.
With luxury, with the all the exciting things. I know I can go on and on, with the movie theaters in them, with the spas, and then the salons, and 4 dining halls, commercial kitchens, and then billiard rooms, and the foyers and courtyards, and putting greens and waterfalls, everything. Don't get me started. I love.
I'm craving. The one thing I do miss about the Bay Area is that I started eating a lot of Indian food. I mean, and like that all you can eat place we went to in Pleasanton.
Yes,
I'm thinking about that chicken they had there. It was funny. The other day I had a meeting with a gentleman, an Indian guy,
Yeah.
and I was like, you got to tell me where the best Indian restaurant is in Las Vegas. And so he gave me the name. So now I know where the best Indian food is here
All
in
right.
Las Vegas, which is
Awesome.
because
Hey,
Vinny really got me into Indian food. I love Indian food now.
sushi and Indian sushi
That-
food. Remember, we
that-
had the sushi there, buddy, when I was there with you. last year or year before. Beau.
Yeah.
I mean, then you were living in the Bay Area. Yeah, that was amazing. Love it, love it. Kanchan loves it too, my wife. We've been married 40 years, Leka. Yeah, we just had
That's
40
amazing.
wedding anniversary. Our two children, Neil and Monica, they live nearby. Yeah,
Congrats.
yeah. Excellent. Thank you for again adding value. If you have some time, love to catch you. After the show, we could talk about few things. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Alrighty. Thank you, everybody. See you next. Oh no, not next week. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and we'll meet you week after next. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Investor Financing Podcast. For show notes and useful resources, please visit investorfinancingpodcast.com. For questions or comments, email info@investorfinancingpodcast.com. If you enjoy our show, please share it with your network. Until next time.